And as we're waiting, I do want to remind you guys all that we will be recording this Coffee with the Principal so we can share it with our community, and that we're going to be alternating back and forth between English and Spanish. But first we want to see if the Spanish is going to be needed. If not, we can just continue the meeting in English.
So we all need to be on our best behaviors.
Well, be on your usual behavior.
De nuevo, si hay personas que están aquí que hablan español, solamente les quiero recordar que esta junta en Zoom va a ser grabada. Y entonces para que sepan que tal vez sus caras van a salir. Y también para recordarles que vamos a alternar en inglés y en español para contestar las preguntas.
Gracias.
Okay.
It does have that Brady Bunch feel, if you're old enough to know who that is.
There you go. Just don't let me be Cindy.
No one wants to be Cindy.
I don't know. I think you would make a good Cindy.
She's a Chico State graduate.
I want to be Marsha.
I like Cindy, though. She was cute. She got away with everything.
Okay.
All right. We have, see, it's 5:03. We have about 21 participants. I'm going to wait just like 30 more seconds just to see, because I think the first question that I answer is going to be the one that everyone wants to know the answer to, including me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. Hi. So thank you. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time for going through the process of registering. And the reason that we did that is if we share a Zoom link just publicly, then anybody, literally anybody in the world can just join on, and maybe with some, you know, there can be people with not great intentions logging on. So thank you for going through that process. And we also were able to come up with, I think, 18 or 19 questions that we really just synthesized from what you had asked. Not surprisingly, the number one question was something along the lines of, what will school look like next year? Give me a thumbs up if you would like to know what school will look like starting in the fall. Us too. And let me explain to you what we're doing.
I can't hear.
You can't hear?
This Let's see. Hold on.
Julie needs support. Yeah, there she goes.
And before we begin too, I think it's important that we do a little bit of a housekeeping kind of items.
That's a good idea.
So if you can all please mute yourself while we answer all of the questions that were pre-asked ahead of time. We're gonna ask that we're gonna go ahead and answer all of the questions that were submitted already. And as you are coming up with questions or additional questions, if you can go ahead and jot them down. And then at the end, we'll have some time to answer those questions that came up. But for right now, we kind of want to be able to give an opportunity to answer all those questions that were pre-asked ahead of time already. And again, as you're coming up with questions, write them down and we'll answer them at the end. Entonces, les vamos a pedir que por favor estén en silencio. Por favor, pongan su video en mute. Mientras estamos ahorita contestando las preguntas que fueron enviadas con anticipación. Vamos a tratar de contestar todas esas preguntas primero, las cuales ya se enviaron. Y si están teniendo preguntas mientras estamos presentando, por favor escríbanlas, porque al final vamos a contestar esas preguntas. Entonces, de nuevo, les vamos a pedir que por favor pongan su cámara a su lado en silencio, por favor.
One other option for jotting things down is if you look down at the bottom of your screen, there is, and if you hover over the bottom of your screen especially, there is a little chat button. And you can leave a message or a question there that we can go back to at the end. And you may have follow-up questions to the questions that you've asked. So that's another option as well.
De nuevo, algo que dijo la directora es que abajo también otra cosa que pueden hacer es que abajo de su pantalla hay un botoncito que dice chat. Ahí sí quieren interactuar durante la presentación por ahí, mandando mensajes, pueden hacerlo también.
So I'll answer the first question that a majority of people asked of all of the questions, which is, what will school look like when we return? So I just asked you if you could give me a thumbs up if you would like to know what school looks like when we return. Nobody wants to know. Everybody wants to know what it looks like. I don't have a definitive answer. Nobody does at this point, and it's because of health concerns. So, but what I can tell you, what we are doing is planning for the hardest or the most difficult contingency, which would be a hybrid model. So currently in the district, every district administrator is part of one of 5 teams, governance, facilities, et cetera, planning just for that. So if we were to come back and it were a hybrid model, meaning partly at school and partly distance learning, there are many things to consider, and many of your questions are about that. How often would my child be going to school? How would you maintain the distance learning? These are all the questions we're asking, and most importantly is, can we do that safely? So when I see the questions about when is it safe for my child to return to school, we're only following the public health department guidelines for that. It's not a question we can answer ourselves. We need experts to help us with that. And that is the most important thing to all of us, is that it be safe to return. There was an add-on question to this, is about parent input in this.
Kristen, really quickly,
Uh-huh.
I can translate that portion.
Sure. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Entonces, una de las preguntas más anticipadas que tienen muchos de los papás es acerca de si vamos a regresar, ¿verdad?, del próximo año escolar. Algo que estaba hablando la directora es que todavía no tenemos una respuesta definitiva de acerca cómo vamos a comenzar el año escolar el próximo año. Que ahorita estamos trabajando para planear para la manera de comenzar más difícil, que sería como un método híbrido, donde parte del día vienen o parte de la semana vienen a la escuela y parte de la semana hacen aprendizaje a distancia todavía. Ese es el plan más difícil para actualizar y planear. Entonces, pero estamos planeando para ese modelo, pero aún estamos esperando las expectativas del Departamento de Salud, que es lo más importante para ver cómo vamos a comenzar el próximo año. Entonces, todavía no tenemos directivas específicas de parte del Departamento de Salud, pero es lo que estamos esperando para tener una respuesta más definida.
Part of an about parent input into the process, which is a great question. Right now, they're starting with just district personnel, thinking very broadly about what it would look like, especially in a hybrid model. And then Dr. Viramontes and the district always want parent input. It's part of how we're funded, is making sure that we have community input for important decisions like this. So I think we can expect that after some consideration is given to what it could look like overall, then we could present ideas and options and ask for community input. And I think that's what we can expect coming down the road. Did you want to translate that part?
Dice que otra de las preguntas que también es acerca de cómo pueden los papás contribuir a su opinión acerca de opciones de cómo se pueden comenzar el próximo año escolar. Entonces, el distrito ya solicitó algunas respuestas de parte de los papás, pero también va a continuar el proceso formal para solicitar más opiniones de parte de los papás. Entonces, eso es algo que continuamos investigando qué es lo que vamos a hacer para solicitar, pero definitivamente estamos interesados en las opiniones de los papás. Entonces, por favor, cuando vean encuestas de parte de los papás, por favor, pongan atención, porque ahí es donde vamos a solicitar sus opiniones.
The next question I've somewhat touched upon, which is, when is it safe for our children to go back to school? And I'm going to add a question in on this that we did receive. I appreciated the way it was worded, which was, if schools were to open next week, could you share the details about what it would look like? If we were to open next week, our consideration would be it would have to be distance learning, because we're not prepared health-wise or safety-wise to return. So no matter when we come back, that will always be the first consideration. What we're looking at right now is, can we provide the social distancing that we need, whether that's in a classroom or at PE or at recess? What do our classrooms look like? How do we limit the cohorts of students who have contact with each other and with adults? We want to limit that as much as we can because that reduces risk. Hand washing and or hand sanitizing, how can we build that into the day and make sure it happens? How do you keep a third grader or a kindergartner from hugging their teacher or each other? How do you keep us from hugging your children? It's all a matter of learning. And my hope is that just as we teach our children explicitly how to do all systems at school, it's something that we will have to teach them to do when we return physically. Part of that is I want, and I hope you will all help communicate this, that this is temporary. I would hate to think that we're going to raise this little generation of children who never think it's safe to touch another human being or to hug another human being. So I want to be mindful of that with my own grandchildren, for example, that this is just for now, and later on, yes, you can hug Nana, just not today. So I'm hoping that you will spread that as well.
La siguiente pregunta fue acerca de cuándo va a ser seguro de mandar a nuestros hijos a la escuela de regreso, que incluye una pregunta que otra mamá o otro papá hizo, pero la puso la pregunta en esta manera: si la próxima semana comenzáramos la escuela, ¿cómo se vería la escuela? La respuesta a esa pregunta de nuevo es siempre, ¿verdad? Estamos viviendo en ahorita etapas y direcciones del Departamento de Salud. Entonces, hasta ahorita, ¿verdad? Si comenzaríamos la próxima semana, probablemente todavía continuaríamos con aprendizaje a distancia. También continuaríamos con las expectativas del distanciamiento social. ¿Cómo es que podemos manejar eso si estamos en la escuela? ¿Cómo podemos limitar la cantidad de estudiantes que están juntos en un grupo? Tenemos que incluir cómo vamos a incluir durante los días el lavado de las manos o sanitar las manos, cómo vamos a prevenir que los estudiantes quieran abrazar a sus maestras o que las maestras quieran abrazar a los estudiantes. Y algo que el mensaje que les dice la directora es que por favor comuniquen a sus hijos, y el mensaje que queremos decirles es que esto es temporario, que ella no le gustaría pensar en que esta generación de humanos que tenemos, de niños humanitos, tengan la idea, ¿verdad?, de que ya no van a poder tocar a otro humano para el resto de sus vidas, ¿verdad? No queremos que tengan eso en mente, que tengan lo opuesto, que todo esto que estamos pasando ahorita es temporario, y que muy pronto, ojalá, ¿verdad?, tengan la posibilidad de volver a tocar a sus maestros, abrazar a sus maestros o viceversa.
And to answer that in a more serious vein, is keeping children apart would have to be part of the plan if we were to base it off of what it looks like today, and what I expect it will probably look like in the fall, is keeping those cohorts of students small and requiring that they stay together. So for example, a cohort of students might be together in a classroom. That would be the same cohorts of students that would play together on the playground, etc., to limit that physical contact.
Dice que la respuesta, un poquito también más en serio, ¿verdad?, es la responsabilidad que tenemos en mantener a los estudiantes aparte, en grupos más pequeños para limitar el contacto, y también si lo podemos mantener en grupos pequeños, también ese grupo pequeño es el mismo grupo que podría estar jugando, por ejemplo, en el patio de recreo. Ese grupo se va a tener que mantener juntos todo el día, de nuevo, para limitar el contacto.
The next question is one that was asked by a number of people, and something that my own children have asked me about, my grandchildren, is will my child have distance learning, like 100% distance learning as an option in the fall if you're not feeling as a family comfortable sending your child back to school? Should it be a hybrid model, for example? The short answer is yes. Talking specifically to Dr. Viramontes, is we know that there are going to be families who are going to be more comfortable with distance learning when we start it from school. And so the expectation is that will almost certainly be one of the options that is offered. It may be, it's a possibility that's what everyone has to do in the fall if we cannot find a way to reliably provide safety for the health of our staff and our children. So that is a possibility, but even if we were to come back, the district is aware that there are going to be families that will not be comfortable with that, and that would need to be an option. One of the considerations that goes with that is attendance. We would need the state to change be flexible in how they count attendance in order for us to just be able to fund our schools, period, if students were not physically here. And I expect that they probably will, and it is something that our district and all of our surrounding districts, and I imagine other districts in the state, are lobbying for that change. And I've personally been encouraged by what I've seen from the state as far as flexibility, for example, with the state testing this year. So that is big picture what it is. The short answer is I'm quite confident that you will have that as an option if you're not comfortable, or if you have a vulnerable person living in your home, or it's just that level of comfort for you and your children.
So Kristen, one follow-up question to that in the chat. How does distance learning work for budgeting in Title I?
Oh, that sounds like a site council question. For budgeting in Title I, it's the same rules. Title I is specifically for students who are far behind and students who we qualify for it because of low income. So I don't know that it would really be different just because of the modality of the teaching. I think it would be the same.
La pregunta que sigue es acerca de si nos están pidiendo que mandemos, ¿verdad?, a los estudiantes a la escuela y no nos sentimos a gusto como padres mandar a los estudiantes aún. Vamos a tener la opción de solicitar para aprendizaje a distancia y que nuestros estudiantes continúen aprendiendo en casa. La respuesta más pequeña o corta es sí. Probablemente nosotros sabemos como distrito que muchos papás durante este tiempo no se sienten todavía, ¿verdad?, muy seguros de mandar a sus hijos a la escuela. Entonces estamos investigando las posibilidades y las opciones de que los papás tengan para continuar aprendizaje a distancia. Pero una de las cosas que va a definir si tenemos esa opción es la flexibilidad de parte del Estado con respecto a la asistencia, porque nuestros fondos de las escuelas vienen de parte de la asistencia de los estudiantes, que los estudiantes vengan a la escuela. Entonces, si vamos a tener, si el Estado nos permite esa flexibilidad, entonces vamos a poder tener esa opción de que los papás apliquen para aprendizaje a distancia y no necesariamente que vengan a la escuela, pero mucho tiene que ver con eso. Otra pregunta que hizo uno de los papás acerca de esto es cómo afectaría a la distancia, el aprendizaje a distancia con eso de que nosotros tenemos fondos del título 1. Y la respuesta para ese es que mientras tengamos estos estudiantes a los cuales aplican debajo del título 1, nosotros vamos a continuar recibiendo esa asistencia y esos fondos. Mientras esos estudiantes sigan con nosotros a un aprendizaje a distancia o en nuestros salones.
An add-on question to that, or one I'd like to add on to that, is, are there financial or other such resources available to fund changes that are being suggested? For example, PPE, additional hand washing stations, sanitizing of classrooms and common areas. The answer to that is no. We are not receiving any additional funding for that as of now. That would come directly out of our school budgets. And that is a concern. And that is part of the planning process, is because many of these things for sanitization, for example, would require either changing how we do things or having an additional person do it. One little glimmer of hope we're having right now is in the budget that was proposed by Governor Newsom. There is a considerable cut to education, but there are legislators now who are saying that they do not want to defund our public education more. So it gives us a little glimmer of hope, but no, there is not additional funds earmarked for that or that we will receive for that as of now.
Otra pregunta que también otro de los papás hizo acerca de los fondos es que si las escuelas están recibiendo fondos adicionales para cubrir como por ejemplo, como las máscaras o otro equipo protectivo que se va a requerir. Y la respuesta para esa pregunta es que no. ahorita las escuelas no estamos recibiendo fondos adicionales para cubrir equipo protectivo. Ahorita estamos viendo que en el estado se han propuesto tal vez cortos cortos de fondos cortos a las escuelas, pero algo que se ha estado hablando de parte del Departamento de Educación es tratar de eliminar esos cortos a los fondos de las escuelas ahorita. Entonces, eso es todavía cosas que están en proceso, pero nada es seguro, pero no estamos recibiendo fondos adicionales para cubrir equipo protectivo en este momento.
The next question is, will there be any state-required testing before the end of this year or at the beginning of next year? So as far as our SBAC testing that usually takes place in the fall, no, we won't be doing anything this year. Nobody is doing state testing this year. However, we won't be doing state testing in the spring either. However, we may have LPAC testing, which is our testing for our second language learners in the fall, getting moved up then. I can only guess about next year. And I think Ms. Gonzalez agrees with me that we will probably be back to state testing in spring of next year, if nothing else, to help us see where we are more accurately.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de los exámenes estatales, que si están planeando dar exámenes estatales este año escolar o el próximo. La respuesta es que este año no va a haber exámenes estatales, pero el próximo año, para comenzar el año, no vamos a comenzar con exámenes estatales, excepto tal vez para los estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés o desarrollando inglés como su segundo idioma para el examen, el LPAC. Se predice que tal vez los estudiantes van a tener la posibilidad de tomar ese examen al comienzo de regreso a la escuela para ver si tienen la opción de ser reclasificados. Pero todavía no sabemos si los otros exámenes estatales van a seguir el próximo año, aunque probablemente sí se van a hacer. No tenemos respuesta segura, pero anticipamos que vamos a continuar con los exámenes estatales. Si no es para medir, ¿verdad?, cómo las escuelas están, cómo van, pero tal vez al transcurso de todo esto, ¿verdad?, cómo estamos en ese momento con todo lo que ocurrió.
The next question, and I've already touched on it, is, are there considerations for students who live with a high-risk family member? That would go back to having a 100% distance learning option in the fall, which I think is one of the reasons we might want to and should, and I think will have that as an option.
La siguiente pregunta es que si tenemos consideraciones para estudiantes que viven con familiares de alto riesgo. Y en este momento, de nuevo estamos tomando las sugerencias del Departamento de Salud para que nos guíe y nos dé mejores expectativas acerca de cómo podemos ayudar a esos estudiantes que viven con familias o con un familiar que está a alto riesgo. Kristen, there is another question on the chat that goes back a little bit to the funding.
I'm going to ask that to Home and School Club. So we have several members of Home and School Club, and I'm not going to ask you to answer right now, but maybe think about it. Maybe we could come back to you. And it's regarding Home and School Club funding, especially since we've missed our biggest fundraiser of the school year, and what that might look like, and perhaps how that relates to our budget cuts. I won't ask you to answer now, but maybe toward the end, we could come back and maybe pick your brains a little bit. Thank you.
En el chat se hizo una pregunta acerca del club de la casa y hogar, que ellos cubren muchas de las cosas, ¿verdad?, que hacemos, cubren muchas de las cosas extracurriculares que hacemos también con los estudiantes. Entonces, ¿qué va a pasar con esos fondos? Ya que perdimos, ¿verdad?, muchos eventos o muchas recaudaciones de fondo la última parte del año escolar. Y eso es algo que tenemos algunos miembros de ese club aquí, pero no les queremos, ¿verdad?, que contesten necesariamente, pero que piensen acerca de esa pregunta para ver qué es lo que podemos hacer para recuperar esos fondos.
The next question really had made me think, so thank you for asking this one. What is the biggest takeaway from this year that you will apply to next year's distance learning setup. My immediate takeaway was that our families and our teachers and our system is far more flexible and adaptable than I ever would have guessed, which I think is encouraging. And if we can put this together in this very short time, this entirely different modality of delivering instruction, just imagine how good it could be with a little bit of planning and a little bit of time. So that is one big takeaway. My other big takeaway is how much we need each other as adults, and especially our kids. And I'm sure many of you parents are experiencing this now. We saw a couple of weeks ago, and it kind of happened all at once, where kids were really starting to hit the wall. Even students who had been participating regularly in distance learning suddenly weren't feeling very motivated. They really were missing their friends. It's hard. We're social beings. And so that interpersonal connection, even if it's online, is better than nothing. So that's another takeaway. As far as academically, I've seen a lot of requests for more live teaching. And I think that interaction is going to be important as we move forward. Also, just so you know, we see the great need for social emotional support and learning. And we, in fact, have been picking through our budget just today, trying to come up with the money to fund a couple of really important social emotional types of curricula. One is called kimochis, which some of you may be familiar with, and those are generally used in your primary grades. And then school-wide, something called Character Strong, that a number of schools in our district are choosing to go with. And that is a school-wide program that is, yay, I see Mrs. Norman happy, that will support all of our kids, because that is a very important and needs to be an intentional part of our curriculum.
La próxima pregunta es algo que dice que la directora que aprecia mucho que la hicieron, es acerca de cuál es la mayor conclusión de este año que aplicarán a la configuración de aprendizaje a distancia el próximo año. Y dice que su mayor conclusión es que los estudiantes y las familias y los educadores son mucho más flexibles y adaptables de lo que esperábamos, ¿verdad? Sabíamos que tenían estas cualidades, pero en realidad ver a todos y su flexibilidad en realidad ha sido asombrante. También otra conclusión es que nosotros, tanto los estudiantes como los maestros y todo el personal, ¿verdad? Necesitamos el contacto humano y la comunicación social. Entonces, nuestros niños, esto no fue algo, fue muy difícil para todos nosotros y sabemos que fue muy difícil para nuestros estudiantes también. Y sabemos la importancia de la comunicación social ahora. También como aprendizaje a distancia, dice la directora que descubrió también la importancia de esas conexiones en sí para el plan de estudios y el aprendizaje. Es algo que definitivamente queremos continuar y seguir apoyando a nuestros hijos. De nuevo, si no estamos en persona, definitivamente necesitamos que sigan conectándose con nosotros virtualmente, porque esa conexión es muy importante para el aprendizaje, tanto el socioemocional como el académico. Y dice que también ahorita, por lo último que estábamos tratando de hacer, es ver cuáles son los últimos fondos que nos quedan este año para exactamente invertir en programas y como Kimochis y otro programa que se llama Character Strong, que nos ayuda es currículo que nos va a ayudar a apoyar el aprendizaje socioemocional de nuestros estudiantes.
Our next question is, what can we as parents do to help support the team better? I can answer that in two parts. One is being here like this, getting information and asking questions is something you might be thinking of, something you're getting from yourself, but that helps strengthen our community. Ms. Gonzalez and I have made it a priority from before school even started to connect more of our community to school. We want everybody to feel that this is Castlemont is part of your family and part of your life and somewhere where you can rely. What I'm hoping, and let me express this as my fear. My fear is that that work is going to be somewhat, I don't know, hurt or damaged because of the physical distance that we have to maintain. So I'm asking that you please stay involved. Please use the talents that you have for the programs we have at school, whether it's Home and School Club, ELAC, Art Vistas will have to look different for a little while because of the social contact, and we'll discuss that separately, but please stay connected with school. That would be my number one way that you can help. Number two is just for your children. Encourage them to do the learning. Please let them know that this is temporary, whatever it is, but that it is important, and that I've communicated that through my family communications, but when we come back, we're going to be in regular school. We've been given this grace period to figure out how to do it. But when we come back, there will be an expectation that you will be in school, whether it's from your kitchen table or sitting on your couch, but you do need to be in school and you do need to be participating, and you will be receiving feedback and grades and that kind of thing when we start back. So let your kids know so they're prepared.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de qué podemos hacer como padres para apoyar mejor al equipo. Y la respuesta de la directora es que lo están haciendo aquí, permanecer conectados con la escuela, continuando haciendo preguntas y mantener su involucración. Que por favor haga todo lo posible para darles tiempos y expectativas a sus hijos para que continúen aprendiendo incluso fuera de las escuelas, aunque estén en aprendizaje a distancia. Dice que uno de sus grandes miedos es que esto a nosotros, ¿verdad? Al comenzar el año tratamos de hacer un gran esfuerzo en conectarlos a ustedes con nosotros y tratar de que ustedes se sintieran bienvenidos y parte de la escuela, de la comunidad de la escuela. Y uno de nuestros miedos es que en la ausencia del contacto físico, que también predecimos que va a continuar el próximo año, que afecte ese sentido de comunidad, ese sentido de conexión entre las familias y la escuela. Entonces queremos que de cualquier manera que puedan seguir conectados con nosotros, lo continúen haciendo, ya sea virtual, ya sea hablándonos por teléfono, cualquier manera que lo puedan hacer, pero esa conexión va a ser muy importante también para continuar la involucración de ustedes y apoyar a los estudiantes. Y también de nuevo de recordarles que esta vez, ¿verdad? Porque no lo esperábamos, nos dieron una oportunidad de tratar diferentes cosas, pero las expectativas para comenzar el próximo año son mucho más altas. Los estudiantes sí les va a afectar las calificaciones si no están haciendo trabajo, si no están participando virtualmente. Entonces que por favor apoyen a sus estudiantes lo más que puedan y traten de mandar ese mensaje de que de nuevo que esto es temporario, pero que el próximo año sí les va a contar y necesitamos que den aún más de su esfuerzo.
The next question is, do the teachers want to come back to school to teach in person? I'm hearing a lot of chatter on Facebook Friends that teachers would rather be online and not in the classroom. I'm looking at my teachers' faces right now and watching them shake their heads. First, health is a concern for everybody. And one thing I can tell you is that our district office sent out a survey for teachers just as information, because we don't know where we're going with this, and this is especially at that point, asking if there was any staff who was interested in doing a 100% distance learning model all the time. And I saw the responses, and there are a few people that are interested in that. And that isn't, I don't take that as necessarily mean you wouldn't want to come back to the classroom, but that you are enjoying distance learning and it's something you're interested in. And maybe also you're in a population where that maybe feels a little safer to you. But I can't wait to come back, and I'm old. I actually am in a high-risk population. I mean, my kids like to remind me of that when I feel invincible, but I can't answer for everybody, but I don't think it's true that most teachers do not want to come back.
La siguiente pregunta es que acerca de si los maestros quieren venir a la escuela para enseñar en persona, que algunos padres dicen que están escuchando una charla por amigos o en Facebook, que los maestros prefieren estar en línea y no en el salón, físicamente en los salones. Y de nuevo, muchas de las maestras cuando se hizo esta pregunta en inglés dijeron, no, eso no es verdad. Pero en sí, de nuevo, la importancia de la salud es verdad lo que más estamos viendo en este momento. Y el distrito sí hizo una encuesta a los maestros acerca de cómo se sentían, sí, ¿verdad? Porque no sabemos cómo va a comenzar el próximo año. Entonces, el distrito hizo una encuesta a los maestros para ver cuántos maestros quisieran continuar en aprendizaje a distancia al 100% el próximo año. Y algunos contestaron que sí les gustaría continuar, pero el sentimiento general que estamos recibiendo es que muchos de los maestros extrañan a sus estudiantes y quieren estar con ellos físicamente.
Our next question is, will our kids be able to recover curriculum lost next year and the current curriculum? So for example, what we didn't cover this year and next year's, it's a lot to cover, and kids have also experienced trauma. The trauma part goes back to what we were talking about, the social emotional learning. This has been hard and scary, and it's always stressful when you're in a situation in which you have no control. And that's definitely where our children are. We are too, for that matter, but children have even less control. So that is our number one concern, is making sure everyone is able to learn because they're in a place where they can learn. This is the question. It is going to be tough. What I can tell you is we are planning right now, starting this week, actually this Wednesday and Thursday, where our teachers will be articulating grade level to grade level to discuss what they didn't cover this year that they would normally cover, and also to examine something called essential standards. If a teacher were to cover every single standard in that we have, I'm not joking, this has been analyzed, we would have a grade 22 in school. It would take that long to cover every single standard that the state lists. So that isn't really possible. So what teachers do is, or systems do like a school, we choose ones that we know are the heavy hitters, the one of the most important, and then we wrap in the smaller ones and spiral those in there too. What we're going to need to do for next year is to identify not only our essential standards, to look at those, but then find the most essential of the essential. What are the really key elements? What was missed? And then start there with the students who missed it, and still be able to address the kids who didn't miss everything, because we do have students who have been participating absolutely faithfully in what they're doing. So we have to find out where our students are, which is one of the reasons you're going to get something called a feedback form instead of a report card this year, which quantifies somewhat loosely how much a child has been participating. It gives us an idea who do we know didn't receive instruction at all, and who did receive some instruction, and who were just kind of in the middle. It gives us a starting place, and then identifying through our teachers what we didn't cover this year so we can start covering it next year. Can we do it all in 1 year? I think so. When we look at growth through things like iReady, you can expect students to make double growth. In other words, let's say you're behind a school year, it is possible to make up a school year while you're in your current year. So I think if we're really intentional, we can do it. And I also know there are going to be some students who are going to be more impacted than others with what they didn't get.
La próxima pregunta es un poquito compleja, acerca de que si nuestros hijos podrán recuperar la pérdida del plan de estudios el próximo año, más el plan del estudio actual que se perdió, y también para tomar en cuenta el trauma, ¿verdad? Que se le fue causado a muchos de nuestros estudiantes. Y sí, ¿verdad? Es algo muy difícil. Algo que estamos en proceso de planear. Inclusive la semana próxima los maestros van a tomar la oportunidad de planear entre grado y luego de un grado al otro para comunicarse acerca de los estándares esenciales que tal vez no se cubrieron este año, para que las maestras el próximo año tengan esos estándares en cuenta. Y también para que revisen sus estándares esenciales de ese año en el cual van a entrar los niños, para planear exactamente, ¿verdad?, qué es lo que van a tener que enseñar, para tratar de alcanzar esos estándares perdidos. La directora habló que en sí la manera en que los estándares estatales están escritos, si en realidad cubriéramos absolutamente todos esos estándares, los estudiantes estuvieran en escuela por hasta el grado 22. Ajá. Entonces, algo que como práctica los maestros hacemos es que vemos todos esos estándares y de ahí sacamos los estándares que son esenciales y incluimos los otros estándares, pero gran parte de lo que enseñamos es enfocarnos en esos estándares esenciales. Y la otra pregunta, que si todo se va a poder recuperar en un año, y es posible. Es posible, pero tenemos que planear muy consistentemente y específicamente crear el plan. Pero sí tenemos pruebas de exámenes como iReady, en los cuales vemos que los estudiantes pueden crecer 1 o 2 años en un año. Entonces es posible, pero requiere de mucha planificación que vamos a comenzar ya la próxima semana.
Our next question is, what is enrollment looking like for next year? So as you may or may not know that funding is based upon how many students are actually in seats, and that drives how many teachers we have at a specific school site. For this school year, we have hovered between, I think, like 542 and 550 at our highest. In fact, we ended the year higher, a couple students higher than we started, I think. We ended at 550, I believe, at least when we went to distance learning. Right now, because we've done extensive outreach, you've all received a survey asking if you're going to be returning or not next year. That's all because we're trying to determine as closely as possible how many kids we will have, how many classrooms we need to prepare, how many teachers we need to hire, if any, etc. So as of right now, thanks to Mrs. Cardello and other office staff calling everyone who didn't respond to the survey, we now have it down to 22 confirmed students 22 students confirmed not returning next year. So as of today, if we were to start school today, our enrollment would be 527. Our projected number that we were working with earlier was 500. So we're still above projection, which is good. I can't predict how many or if we will lose a lot more students over summer. I hope not. If we lose a lot more than 27 students, then that does start impacting how many full-time employees we can have, et cetera. But I'm actually feeling pretty hopeful with the number that we have right now, given the projection that we were given earlier.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de cómo se ve la inscripción para el próximo año. Algo que investigamos este año, ¿verdad? Hicimos varias encuestas. A los padres que no respondieron a las encuestas, queremos agradecer a nuestro personal de la oficina, como a Susan, que nos ayudaron a hacer esas llamadas uno en uno. Y ahorita tenemos aproximadamente 22 estudiantes que si regresaríamos la próxima semana a la escuela, ¿verdad? Que no van a regresar porque se mudaron o se cambiaron de escuela. Eso crearía que si regresáramos la próxima semana como 527 estudiantes que regresarían a la escuela. Para el próximo año escolar tenemos proyectado comenzar con 500 estudiantes y la directora mencionó que ella está, es un poco difícil, ¿verdad? Saber predecir esa cantidad de estudiantes con los que vamos a comenzar actualmente, porque en realidad no se sabe, ¿verdad? Pueden pasar varias cosas, pero ahorita teníamos proyectado comenzar con por lo menos 500 estudiantes. Si tenemos menos de eso, obviamente sí va a afectar un poco y nos va a impactar un poco, pero ella se está sintiendo muy optimista de que vamos a tener, estar muy cerca o arriba, un poco arriba de los números proyectados.
Thank you. Hi, Tanner. I see you hugging your mom. That's really sweet. I just want to acknowledge that I do see the questions in the chat, and we will get to those as soon as we're done with these. The next two questions I will put together, so those 11 and 12 we've kind of touched on already, but they are, school is going to look very different next year. How is the school and teachers going to help children social emotionally adapt to the new normal? And students are going to have a hard time not hugging teachers. That goes back to our recognition that we need it, and we do, preparing for it with very specific items and programs in place with the Komochis and the Character Strong, and just understand that we need that social emotional piece. We've also started working this year on something called social circles. A lot of our teachers do them already, where they start the day with a time of checking in. So we do have things in place for that and helping them adapt with that. The not hugging teachers part, that in a serious answer, that goes back to teaching our students intentionally that for right now, we can't have that kind of physical contact with other people. And you're probably already doing that at home. And like I said, really letting our kids know that this doesn't happen forever. And you don't have to be afraid of other people. This is just being safe. And we all, as I said, are going to have a hard time not hugging kids too. That's just kind of one of the perks of the job.
Las siguientes dos preguntas ya las contestamos, pero brevemente las vamos a responder. De nuevo, sabiendo que el próximo año se va a ver muy diferente a lo que era previo el COVID-19. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que van a hacer los maestros para apoyar lo socioemocional de los estudiantes y adaptarse al nuevo normal? Tanto de nuevo, la pregunta otra vez acerca de qué vamos a hacer para prevenir que los estudiantes, ¿verdad?, abracen a sus maestros. Y de nuevo, sí estamos anticipando mucho el trabajar con los estudiantes en el aspecto socioemocional. De nuevo, estamos investigando estos currículos que vamos a apoyar para el próximo año y tratar de incluir para concentrarnos en esas áreas. Y de nuevo, acerca de abrazar a los maestros, de nuevo les queremos recordar y les vamos a decir a los estudiantes que esto es temporario, que no necesariamente tienen que tener miedo a otros humanos o seres humanos, pero que de nuevo es temporario y que esto va a pasar.
The next question is it possible to have the 5th grade drive through graduation and the student item pickups at different times? This refers to our 5th graders because we can't have our normal promotion ceremony out in the field. We are having a drive-through promotion, and you've probably seen things like this already on television that high schools are doing, especially, and some middle schools. We do have, I believe it's our 3rd grade pickup during that time, and it's in a different parking lot. It's in the Barkwood parking lot. The promotion will be in the loop that goes by the MU. So that is something we did consider, and we actually extended the time for the promotion. Instead of just having everyone come at once, we're having one class per hour. So that limits it. If everyone follows the rules, that limits it to a max of 30 cars coming through in an hour's time, which should lessen it a lot. I'm told that I can contact San Jose PD to come out because even though part of our school, our physical address is Campbell, we're actually serviced by San Jose PD. And if they have resources available, they can send someone out. But we can also station a willing staff member, Miss Julie, to help keep I can't see her face, but I know she's laughing at me right now, to help keep the intersection clear, because I can see that is a potential. We don't want to inconvenience our neighbors, and I don't want to make it difficult for our parents to be able to pick up the items there on Barkwood.
La siguiente pregunta fue acerca de si algunos de ustedes saben, la próxima semana la promoción de 5º grado y la recolección de 3er grado van a ocurrir en similares horas. Entonces la preocupación era si podemos mover la hora en que 3er grado tal vez recoge sus cosas para tratar de que no haya conflicto en las calles. Y algo que hicimos para 5º grado específicamente es que extendimos una hora. Vamos a esperar que tomar que manejen los de 5º grado 1 hora para cada clase. Entonces alargamos el día para la promoción de 5º grado. Entonces esperando que si vienen a la hora designada, eso nos va a ayudar con el flow de los carros. También tenemos la opción de llamar como para asistencia para ver si los policías tal vez pueden venir a ayudarnos con el tráfico. Pero algo que hicimos de nuevo es alargar el horario de 5º grado para que nos ayude con eso.
So I just want to add, the one place where I can see we need someone is in the exit from Barkwood, so that you can get out of the parking lot back onto the street, because cars may be close to each other. So we are aware of that.
Que sí dice la directora que una cosa que vamos a necesitar es tal vez a una persona que nos ayude en el estacionamiento de Barkwood cuando están recogiendo las cosas de tercer grado, porque los carros sí van a estar muy cerca, entonces vamos a necesitar a alguien ahí que nos ayude a navegar el tráfico, y eso es algo que estamos investigando a ver quién nos puede ayudar.
The next question is, who will be the 5th grade team for the fall? We currently this year have 4 5th grade classes. Next year we will only need 3 because based on how many 4th graders we have. And the team is Ms. Iyama, Ms. Balcazar. Ms. Iyama and Ms. Balcazar will be staying, Mrs. Balcazar will be staying in 5th grade. And then Mrs. Biggs is going to be moving up to 5th grade, and that will be our 5th grade team.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de quién va a estar en el equipo como maestras para quinto grado. Y tuvimos algún movimiento de maestras. Entonces, para quinto grado el próximo año vamos a tener a la maestra Iyama, maestra Balcazar, y la maestra Biggs se va a venir de cuarto a quinto para ser maestra de quinto grado el próximo año.
The follow-up question to that is, have you done class placements for fall? If not, when will those be completed? And does their current teacher give input for placement? Are you accepting letters or requests? So the first part is, my understanding, since this is my first year, is it started, I believe, with Mr. Brown, if I'm correct, doing our class placements in the spring rather than in August. We decided to move them to August this year just because of the uncertainty of what our model is going to look like. So to answer that question, August. Current teachers, yes, actually teachers are the ones who talk together and help form the classes, and they base that on a plethora of information, test scores, abilities, language, whether or not a student has an IEP, all kinds of things, trying to balance the classes. So the teachers are actually the ones who have the majority of the say in doing that. And are we accepting letters or requests? Not for specific teachers. So what I ask you to do is, if you're interested, if you feel it's important to give the input, I welcome it. But please share that information with us as what kind of student your child is, how they learn, what kind of environment is helpful for them. And then that can help us, that extra information can help us place students in a classroom where they'll feel the most comfortable.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de que si ya hicimos las listas de clases para el próximo año, si no, cuándo se completarán, si su maestro actual da su opinión para la colocación de los estudiantes y si aceptamos cartas o solicitudes para cómo pedir en qué clase pueden estar. Y la respuesta es que usualmente con el director previo, el director Brown, parece que las listas se hacían al final del año escolar para el próximo año, pero nosotros decidimos que este año vamos a hacer las listas de las clases en agosto, ya que no sabemos exactamente el modelo que vamos a utilizar para comenzar el año escolar, y eso va a afectar, ¿verdad?, el balance de las clases. Entonces nos queremos esperar. Los maestros sí dan su opinión y son los que desarrollan las listas de las clases para nivelar las clases, y hay varias áreas en las cuales ellas se fijan para desarrollar las listas de las clases. Y en términos de aceptar cartas para pedir que los estudiantes estén en ciertas clases, la respuesta es que nos pueden escribir cartas hablándonos sobre su hijo, en cuál medio ambiente ellos trabajan mejor o con qué tipo de estilo trabajan mejor, pero no queremos que nos den nombres de específicos maestros o que pidan específicos maestros. De nuevo, vamos a tomar sus opiniones acerca de las cualidades de sus hijos y las áreas en las cuales ellos son fuertes para que nosotros podamos desarrollar y poner a los estudiantes en las clases. Pero de nuevo les pedimos que por favor no pidan a ciertos maestros.
Just so you know, we're coming down to the end pretty soon. How are grades going to be handled equitably considering all the various impacts to this school year? I want to answer, I wasn't positive exactly what was being asked here, so let me answer that in a two-pronged way. Assuming that it's regarding report card grading, we're not going to be issuing a report card this year. Instead, it's a feedback form that lists how much participation there's been in language arts, in math, and in social emotional learning, and then overall how much, and then there's a place for a narrative. So the teachers are providing, as they always do in the report cards, feedback, written feedback as a statement. If you mean how will it be handled next year, being that so many students we expect so many students will be farther behind than usual, we always try to approach learning with meeting the kids where they are. So your grading should be reflective of that. And since it looks so different in elementary school, grades versus attainment of standard is different. So we could say someone didn't meet a standard where it's not necessarily a grade, if that answered your question.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de las calificaciones, de cómo se van a manejar las calificaciones de manera equitativa, considerando todos los diversos impactos en este año escolar. La respuesta es que, suponiendo que la pregunta se refiere a la calificación de la boleta, de nuevo, este año va a ser una calificación modificada, que va a hablar acerca de la participación de los estudiantes durante el aprendizaje a distancia. Pero viendo las calificaciones para el próximo año, de nuevo, ya que nos basamos en los estándares, si los estudiantes cumplieron o no los estándares, y tenemos que ver en cuenta, ¿verdad?, el aprendizaje perdido. Entonces, pues vamos a continuar dándola de esa manera si es que continuamos con la escuela regular, pero vamos a tener que tomar en cuenta, ¿verdad?, lo que ocurrió también este año en manera de dar el narrativo o dar los comentarios en la boleta de calificaciones el próximo año escolar.
We're down to 3 more questions that we have prepared from before. The next one is, if distance learning, I assume this is, if we will be in distance learning, please give a detail about what virtual classes would look like. One thing that we're requesting as we go into distance learning is that we be very clear with families which platforms we're using from the very beginning, so there isn't confusion about that. A syllabus would be very helpful, especially going into distance learning. And I know our teams plan very closely together, even more so in distance learning than we were in regular classroom learning. And I see our teachers shaking their heads. I know there's been many requests for more Zooms, and I saw that on the chat as well. Those are very popular. We would expect to see more live teaching during Zooms in particular, and accessing smaller group things. We're really just learning how to use that. Maybe I should say I'm really just learning how to use the breakout room features in Zoom. We've been practicing at our staff meetings with a marginal level of success, and it will take some more practice, but we'll be able, especially with our instructional associates, to do even more breakout group learning, because I know a lot of kids need smaller groups, and that actually was one of our questions, so I'm addressing that here.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de si se trata de aprendizaje a distancia, que si podemos dar un poquito de la idea de cómo se van a manejar esas clases virtuales el próximo año, próximo si continuamos así. La respuesta es que, ¿verdad? Todo... este año fue todo nuevo para nosotros, estamos aprendiendo. Mucho de eso requiere la continua colaboración entre maestros, y lo que ocurrió subió la colaboración entre maestros para apoyar a los estudiantes en el aprendizaje a distancia. Inclusive estamos viendo en el chat, se mencionó que algunas cosas que los padres están pidiendo, ¿verdad?, es la oportunidad de más clases a través de Zoom. Y viendo el próximo año, estamos creyendo que si continuamos con aprendizaje a distancia, clases en vivo virtualmente es algo que va a tener que ocurrir un poco más viendo al próximo año, pero de nuevo es algo, ¿verdad?, que continuamos aprendiendo como maestro y desarrollando nuestro aprendizaje profesional para ver esos modos de comunicación y con los estudiantes. Entonces, pero definitivamente vamos a tener un plan más extensivo que va a incluir un poco más de enseñanza en vivo.
The second to last question is, will students be divided into smaller classes upon returning to school? If we were to return to school, let's say Monday, based on the current health guidelines and what I anticipate will be similar in the fall, yes, class sizes will need to be smaller. We can have fewer students on campus, period. So we may have, while we will not, I know we will not have a half school day, like some kids come in the morning, some kids come in the afternoon, because sanitation would be very difficult in that situation. We may have, let's say, a Monday, Tuesday group of students who come, and a Thursday, Friday group of students come. Maybe Wednesday is for some planning and also for some small group instruction for students who need some extension or some remediation. So yes, we can expect, I think it is fair to say, when we return, we will have smaller class sizes or classes divided up into smaller subsets.
La siguiente pregunta es que si se les piden a los estudiantes que vengan a la escuela, si se van a dividir los estudiantes en clases más pequeñas al regresar. Y la respuesta en corto es que sí. Las pautas de salud son las mismas que en la actualidad. El tamaño de las clases deberá ser mucho más pequeño de lo que son actualmente. De nuevo tenemos que tratar de recordar al mantenernos en la distancia social aún con esos grupos más pequeños, pero si regresamos, de nuevo estamos considerando menos estudiantes y también considerando las necesidades de los diferentes estudiantes al regresar y estar presente en la escuela. Todo eso es las consideraciones que estamos tomando en cuenta.
The last question that's written for us is, will the kids be required to wear masks all day next year? Again, if we were to open today, based upon today's guidelines, students 6 and older would be required to wear face masks. We were just told, actually by a very reliable source, that seems to be changing to students and teachers being able to wear face shields. And one of the reasons that's very important, aside from just wearing a mask being uncomfortable, is that our primary kids really need to see our teachers' articulation with sounds. So wearing a mask would be very difficult. And then there's just the whole social thing of not being able to read someone's emotions easily. I think you've probably all experienced how odd it is not being able to see someone's entire face. So I think that will be the case. But as of now, yes, we will have to have something that prevents droplets from being shared.
La siguiente pregunta es que si los estudiantes van a vamos a requerir que los estudiantes usen una máscara todo el día el próximo año. Si comenzaríamos la escuela la próxima semana, la respuesta sería que sí, ¿verdad? La expectativa sería que sí tienen que utilizar una máscara porque ahorita esas son las recomendaciones del Departamento de Salud. Pero de nuevo algo que estamos viendo y de nuevo todo eso puede cambiar dependiendo en cuando ya estemos en el comienzo de la escuela, las expectativas o las directivas pueden ser diferentes, pero una de las posibilidades que estamos viendo que tal vez podemos usar el próximo año es la habilidad de usar como una máscara de plástica protectiva, transparente. Si las han visto que algunas personas las utilizan para que así no tenga que necesariamente cubrir la boca, ya que en los grados menores es muy importante ver la boca para ver la articulación oral de los estudiantes y cómo pronuncian y cómo mueven la boca para pronunciar las diferentes palabras. Entonces eso es muy importante, en particularmente para los grados menores. Entonces el uso de esa máscara de plástico protectivo va a ser tanto también apoyar a los maestros, algo que ellos van a poder usar, y tanto como los estudiantes tal vez van a poder usarla también para poder comunicarnos de esa manera.
Two things before we move on to the chat. I don't recall now that I've actually said when you will know what the model will look like for next year. From what we're understanding, and this is what we've heard over and over again, mid-July, we will have a recommendation from the Public Health Department as to how to begin the school year. And that's when we can look at the options that we've planned for and be able to communicate with you what that looks like. I don't have young children, but I certainly know many people that do, and I understand how difficult it is right now, especially if you're trying to plan work around childcare, around what school looks like next year. So by mid-July, that is what we're being told will be the time that we will know and be able to offer you those options and let you know what it looks like. One more question that came from an email that I wanted to share.
Let me translate that one as you look.
While I figure this out.
Otra de las preguntas, o no preguntas, pero una cosa que notó la directora que tal vez no mencionamos es que cuándo les vamos a dejar saber a la comunidad exactamente cómo se va a ver el próximo año. Y la respuesta es que de nuevo vamos a estar en proceso de planificar y planear todo, pero la idea que a finales de julio, a mediados de julio, entre mediados de julio, finales de julio, vamos a tener una respuesta para poder comunicarles a las familias de las expectativas para el comienzo del próximo año.
The rest of the questions I think we've answered, but one question is, what additional resources will the district or schools provide to our families that are directly aligned with the students' grade level curriculum for students to utilize during the summer? And I've thought about this as I've read this. Our district, we have teachers on special assignment who are creating choice board lessons that will be shared weekly via the district website and initially pushed out onto the school website for all families. And those are aligned by grade level. What I'm thinking now after reading this question is of when we meet this week and we really drill down into what wasn't covered this school year during our distance learning time, sharing that with those teachers on special assignment so maybe they can be a little bit more specific with the choices that are given.
And then also to add, I know that you guys the students will have access to keep their Chromebooks and their devices at home to be able to utilize if they borrow the schools or if you have your own. Aside from this, the teachers and some of the teachers out of the willingness of their hearts are going to continue kind of pushing out resources too via Seesaw and continuing to communicate out to the kids as well. So that's another thing that's coming. But again, the district is definitely going to have those resources available. So make sure you're looking, if you want extra opportunities for learning, there's going to be a wealth of stuff coming from the district as well. Entonces, la siguiente cosa queríamos mencionar es que acerca de recursos durante el verano que pueden utilizar los padres. De nuevo, los estudiantes van a poder quedarse con sus computadoras prestadas de la escuela, o sus tabletas para continuar aprendiendo durante el verano. El distrito va a seguir empujando currículo o sitios o recursos de aprendizaje virtual que los estudiantes pueden hacer durante el verano, y también inclusive algunos de los maestros de su propia voluntad van a también seguir mandando actividades o comunicarse con los estudiantes en algunos en Seesaw, y eso va a estar disponible hasta finales de julio, comenzando en agosto ya no como método, como Seesaw ya no se va a poder usar, pero tan siquiera lo pueden utilizar o hacer actividades por ahí hasta julio.
Thank you. I'm looking at the chat, and I see Lauren has made a statement that our children need more Zooms, and I think that probably goes back to that live instruction, and that's also a really good social emotional time because they can see each other. Dawn asks, is there a cost differential to distance learning, and what percentage of student participation to Castlemont experience? The first part of that, not that we've experienced directly right now. One thing that I, just off the top of my head, I know there is a cost to is Zoom offered their professional level of Zooming for free for these last 3 months, which, believe me, in education we appreciated. And I imagine there is a little bit of business common sense to that you've gotten us hooked now, and now we all want the business model. So, and we need it. I mean, that's what it offers. What I was told was it's $90 per person, which maybe doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you multiply that times all of the administrators and districts in a district, it is a lot of money. So that would be a cost. Programs that I know, or online programs that I know that we'll want to maintain for next year that maybe we were considering could have been on the chopping block, are now more necessary than they would with distance learning. So yes, there is a cost. If we come back at a hybrid model, there may be costs associated with additional personnel, especially around cleaning and supervision. So those are all possibilities. Do you want to answer that part?
Yeah. Una de las preguntas que se hizo en el chat es acerca de la diferencia de costo del aprendizaje en persona al aprendizaje virtual o a distancia. Y estaba algo que la directora mencionó, es que ahorita la aplicación de Zoom nos ofreció sus servicios gratuitos estos últimos 3 meses, sus servicios que usan profesionales con las compañías con las que están contratados. Entonces, eso no lo ofrecieron gratis, pero viendo el próximo año no sabemos si dicen ahora que ya nos tienen enganchados, ¿verdad? A cómo usar ese servicio, si dicen, no, ahora sí van a tener que pagar, ¿verdad? Entonces, no sabemos, pero si tenemos que pagar, ¿verdad? Ese tal vez es un costo adicional que vamos a tener que cubrir el próximo año. Y también algo que estamos viendo es si hay otro costo al venir en persona el próximo año, ¿verdad? Es tal vez la preocupación y de la seguridad y de la limpieza. Tal vez vamos a requerir más personal para que nos ayude a apoyar los requisitos de limpieza que vamos a tomar en cuenta.
The second part of that question is about the percentage of student participation. I don't have that extrapolated yet. We've asked, all of our teachers have recorded it. And then when they're finished, as they're finishing their feedback forms, they're inputting it into PowerSchool in a certain report format that will allow us to look at exact percentages. Percentages are important for sure overall, but even more important is what individual students haven't been participating or have limited participation, because that's definitely going to affect them next year.
Otra pregunta que se hizo en el chat es acerca de la participación, del porcentaje de la participación de estudiantes que estuvieron participando en la experiencia en Castlemont acerca del aprendizaje virtual. Esto es algo que todavía no tenemos calculado exactamente porque no hemos finalizado este año, pero eso es algo que las maestras ya tienen directivas de ingresar en nuestro sistema que vamos a utilizar para medir ese porcentaje, pero no tenemos ese porcentaje exacto ahorita. Entonces, eso es algo que estamos trabajando todavía.
The next question that Angela asked, that Emily and Lauren and the Sabatinis are all saying, yes, great question. Can my child take a test to see where they are, where they're at, and where they need to study in the summer? So leveling them right now and seeing what they need. I'm going to have to defer a little bit to our teachers on this and hope you can jump in. I'm immediately thinking iReady. I don't know that we can assign, right now we can really assign a test in specific in these next few days, but if you're working on iReady, it does adjust to where you are. So if you're doing those lessons, that I would suggest doing that. iReady will be available to you through the end of July, at which time our system has to roll over and put your, let's say, second graders into third grade, even though not into a specific class yet, but just roll over the enrollment, then it changes the system. But until the end of July, you'll be able to access that. So I would highly suggest, as far as leveling and finding out what you need, is to be using the iReady application. Teachers, would you like to add anything to that? All right.
Entonces, una pregunta fue acerca de que si hay un examen que tal vez le puedo dar a mi hijo para ver sus niveles académicos ahorita, para saber en qué áreas trabajar con él en el verano. Y es muy difícil porque todos los exámenes que podemos dar, ¿verdad? Necesitamos que los estudiantes que nosotros tenemos, que los estudiantes estén presentes con nosotros para darlos. Pero de nuevo, la directora está hablando que tal vez iReady pueden, mientras los estudiantes estén haciendo sus aprendizaje en casa acerca de iReady, sus lecciones están siendo aniveladas, pero no creo que se puede dar un examen diagnóstico con iReady, pero ahorita es algo, no sé, que tal vez si las maestras puedan compartir I don't think we can give a diagnostic, Kristen. I don't think it allows for us to be able to take it at home.
No.
But I don't think we could also share with people any of our assessments also, since, you know, those we need to kind of safeguard as well. But that's a great question. Maybe we can take it back to our staff and see if there's anything that we can work on or develop, or at least think of resources that could help.
Or if there's something that they can push out in the distance learning over the summer.
So I know Miss Stapes shared
Well, I was
something.
going to say that I know Angela and Violet and Emily all have kindergartners, and we don't have iReady. So I would say, just personally for kindergarten, is contact your teacher. And all of us would be very willing to tell you where they're at as far as what we've seen through distance learning and where they were at before in March. And I'm sure they would be more than willing to help you with the kindergarten aspect of it, at least, so that they're ready for first grade.
Thank you, Mrs. Stapes. Thank you. That was very helpful.
And the other thing too, I'm sure like she said, in looking at by maybe giving us again next week, because we're going to be having those cross grade level talks about what standards were covered or not, and then that way, you know, the teacher could share, you know, hey, you know, maybe or certain standards or certain skills that could be helpful for you to work on at home that they could suggest. But I think that's a good idea, reaching out to the teachers and seeing if they have any advice. Les recomendamos que hablen con sus maestros de nuevo si quieren saber cuáles son las áreas que pueden trabajar con los estudiantes, porque tal vez ellas van a poder tener una respuesta o idea de sugerencias para darles para cosas que pueden trabajar en el verano.
I know in iReady too, you can see, teachers can see how much time the students have been in iReady, and it kind of gives you a percentage of what they've done in that time, to get an idea of what they're working on and what they need help with. So that's something teachers can see, but I don't know if parents can actually see that. So it would help them to continue to actually work through iReady just to get the practice, for sure. And Khan Academy, somebody had suggested Khan Academy is a good one.
If I can just also say that in first grade, we only do iReady math. I mean, the kids have been on iReady reading now, but that was not something that we did in the curriculum. That just came up with the distance learning.
Thank you, Mrs. Beachy. The next thing on the chat is, who do we send requests to? I think that means regarding teachers. If you would consider putting that in instead of a request, but tell me about your child and what their learning style is. You can send that to me, Kristen Prindle. I'll put my email in the chat. So it's kprindle@campbellusd.org. I'll put it here. And also at the very bottom of the chat, if you were to enter a chat where it says to everyone, and you go to those three little dots, it gives you an option to save the chat. And it'll save, if you're on a Mac, it'll save to your download folder. And so you could save the information and could see the other questions as well, if you wanted to refer to them. Placement tests for kindergarteners. So I'm going to also defer a little bit to my kindergarten teachers, but usually we do a kindergarten roundup in the summer, right before school starts, which we probably won't be able to do this year, I'm guessing. So we've talked about a couple of options. One is not assigning students to a specific teacher the first part of the school year, and letting teachers assess children as they're in the classroom and looking at the whole child, and then assigning teachers and balancing classes that way. Mrs. Stapes, would you like to add anything to that?
I just know one other option, we just started talking about this recently at our grade level. One other option was maybe having the day before school starts, almost like a little kindergarten orientation where they can come in, get to know you, look around a little bit, and then do some quick assessments that way. And then making classes maybe that afternoon.
If we were really limiting the number of students at a time. Yeah, that is possible.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll be able to have like our normal kindergarten roundup.
Probably not.
Yeah,
That's
it's still kind of up in the air.
La siguiente pregunta es acerca de los exámenes o las evaluaciones que se le dan al comienzo para kinder, como el famoso Kinder Roundup. Y estamos viendo que tal vez no lo vamos a hacer este año. Una de las opciones que estábamos viendo es tal vez la posibilidad de las primeras 2 semanas de escuela, no asignar a estudiantes a maestros, pero dar la oportunidad de que esos estudiantes, dar los exámenes cuando los estudiantes regresen a la escuela y ya después basarlos en esos exámenes, a nivelarlos, ¿verdad? Y balancear las clases de esa manera. Pero algo que compartió la maestra es que sí, las maestras de kinder todavía están consultando y hablando para ver qué es lo que pueden hacer para hacer las clases el próximo año, sabiendo que no vamos a tener el Kinder Roundup.
See, now you're all doing exactly what our class is doing, which is waving to each other, which I love. The next comment question, and it's true, Monroe is having their parade at the same time on the 9th. Because theirs is bigger, I assume they're probably going to will have a better chance at having some traffic guidance from San Jose PD. We are aware of it. And just looking down through the rest of the chat, I can see the concern about the pickup that is simultaneous to that one. If you would rather not come then, and we already know not everyone is going to be able to come in this little time frame in the middle of the day. We are more than happy to make special arrangements. You just tell us when you can come, and we'll be here every day, and we can make sure you get your things that way. So again, you can contact your child's teacher. You can certainly contact Mrs. Gonzalez and and we'll help you on an individual basis.
Estamos viendo el chat acerca de nuevo que en la escuela de Monroe también va a tener su desfile para la promoción de octavo ese día, que sí va a ser el tráfico monitoreado. Probablemente sí, entonces sabiendo que va a haber una necesidad, vamos a tratar de ver qué podemos hacer para que alguien nos apoye con monitorear el tráfico. Y luego de nuevo sigue la preocupación de que tercer grado recoja sus cosas otro día. Una sugerencia de la parte de la directora ahorita es que si no quieren recoger, si tercer grado no quiere recoger sus cosas ese día, lo que pueden hacer es mandarle un correo electrónico, ya sea a mí o a la directora o a sus maestros, y para hacer un arreglo, un acuerdo en recoger las cosas otro día a otra hora. Entonces, mándenos un correo para decir que no pueden venir durante esa hora para nosotros concordar otra hora para que pueda venir a recoger las cosas.
Then Don had commented that Khan Academy is a great supplement for iReady, and they work for Kinder as well. And then he's thanking Mylin. I think he means Mrs. Tran. Am I correct? So yes, I agree. Khan Academy from now all the way through college will help you. Or when you get to a place in your child's math homework where you can't do it anymore, it's very helpful.
Uno de los papás sugirió, y en particularmente para los papás que hablan español, si no han escuchado de Khan Academy, es un gran recurso que puede apoyar en lugar de iReady. Básicamente, y los estándares están en inglés y en español. Los recursos están en ambos idiomas, donde hay maestros que están enseñando los conceptos virtualmente, y de nuevo los explican en inglés y en español. Entonces, si ustedes están teniendo dificultad con un concepto o quieren que sus estudiantes tengan lecciones, son maestros que están dando lecciones pregrabadas a los estándares. Entonces, Khan Academy es un gran recurso.
And I believe at the beginning when they were pushing out the choice boards, that was one of the choices too that was listed, was Khan Academy. And it's free. Yes, they do take donations because of that. I've listed my email. Lauren asks, if children don't get introduced to something that they were supposed to get this year, will the teacher in the next grade level introduce them to it? Yes, that is the idea of especially what we're starting with this week, is having our teams meet to explain what they didn't get to in their curriculum. So for example, if first grade didn't get to XXX important standards, they will communicate that to the second grade teachers so that we're all in the same understanding that way.
Otra de las preguntas es que si a los estudiantes no se les enseñó algo este año, que si los maestros del próximo año se los van a enseñar. Y de nuevo, si son estándares esenciales, esa es la idea. De nuevo, los maestros se van a reunir la próxima semana para ver qué es lo que perdieron los estudiantes este año, de que no se les enseñó, y van a tener comunicación con los maestros del próximo año para que ellos puedan planear en cómo van a integrar esos estándares esenciales al enseñárselos el próximo año también.
And then Ms. Gonzalez has shared her email address as well. We've both listed them. I just want you, I can't emphasize enough that we want to be accessible to everybody. So please contact us if you need anything. And then Jenny says also know that a 5th grader can log in using his Google account from school to Khan Academy. Yes. And
yes, for Khan Academy, I believe you create a parent account, but it's free. And then you can also monitor as a parent account your child's progress through Khan Academy. So si ustedes crean una cuenta para Khan Academy, es gratuita las cuentas, el acceso es gratuito, y ustedes pueden monitorear el progreso de sus hijos en las lecciones también en Khan Academy.
friends, we're coming up on 6:30, and I've been monitoring how many people are on the chat, and you have stuck with us this entire time, every single person, which is remarkable. Does anybody have any last things they'd like to ask? If you could put it in the chat.
Or you can unmute.
Or you can unmute. Yeah, we like voices. Oh, we have to go back to Home and School Club. Do we need to raise money over the summer for any resources for the fall? We always need to raise money, yes. We always welcome the fundraising. Could I get our Home and School Club folks to?
I'll just chime in and say, first I want to say how you started out and say, I want to go back to 2015. Miss Surratt, the then principal, said, look around the room, these people will become your family. And it didn't take much more than that first year to see how evident that is. And it is quite a beautiful thing that whether in our small groups or big groups, at some point during this really stressful time, we've had each other and each other's families, and we are family to lean on, and that's a big part of what the Home and School Club is supposed to be here supporting. And yes, we do need to keep raising money. We're in the process of setting up what would have been our quick summer meeting before we adjourn, before we come back for next year. And during that meeting, we've already in a previous meeting started to talk about the things we could do online to save money. One of them, which isn't going to raise a ton, but that's setting your Amazon Smile accounts to Castlemont HSC. It's Castlemont Home and School Club. I know now a lot of us are using Amazon quite a bit for all those all the sanitation devices we can't get our paws on. But that's one of them right now off the top of my head that you could start this summer saving or starting to raise money with. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that yes, we do need to keep raising money, but we need to figure out where we're at and find out what the balance is. There's a lot of expenses that we're sadly not going to have or didn't have toward the end of the year, which is some of our field trips and assemblies and things like that. So it's not like an immediate, like another huge deficit right now yet, but that's something that moving forward, we need your help to figure out what ideas you have. And I would definitely be welcome to working with Ms. Prindle and the board to figure out how to do these meetings over Zoom or change how we do things, not just because of this, but to be more inclusive and things like that moving forward. So I would like to also, I'm sure the other board members here have some little tidbits you'd like to share. That is a good question, and it's all of our hope that we do continue to raise money or find ways to squeeze it out of the turnip.
So if I can quickly translate what you said, Yvonne. Entonces está compartiendo Yvonne que sí aún de parte del club de Casa y Hogar sí se va a necesitar aún pensar en la recaudación de fondos. Pero dice que algo que ahorita no estamos necesariamente de negativo porque hay muchas cosas que no se pagaron al final del año porque no ocurrieron como paseos o asambleas. Entonces, tenemos esa cuenta de los fondos que actualmente tienen, se van a ver en la última junta, pero dice que algo que pueden hacer si tienen cuenta de Amazon es que Amazon tiene una cuenta donde pueden mandar como un porcentaje de lo que ustedes compran se llama el programa Amazon Smiles. Que si se ingresan pueden mandar un porcentaje de lo que ustedes compran al Home and School Club. And can you say that, maybe can you put the name of that on the chat, Yvonne, so we could see it also? Entonces Iván lo va a poner en el chat para que ahí lo tengamos de cómo se llama, para si queremos, eso es algo que podemos hacer inmediatamente para apoyar los fondos, la recaudación de fondos en la escuela.
I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if Emily or Jenny wanted to say anything. I know Emily Ossing put something in the chat as well.
Hi, thank you. So I just wanted to shout out that in addition to Amazon Smile, which is a great idea for supporting our school, and we just got our check last week, which was really exciting. We do have the ability to run the script program for the summer. And for those of you who may not know, those are gift cards where the school gets, HSC gets a percentage of what's sold. And I am happy to come over to your house and pick up checks and deliver script to you. So you don't need to do anything other than telling me how you would like to buy that. And if you have any questions, my email is on this as well. But to Yvonne's point, I think that it's a really good question. We don't know what the expenses are going to look like next year. We do know that we need to fundraise, obviously. We had a little bit of a benefit in that some of the field trips this year were canceled. Some of the assemblies were canceled. And so we were able to save some money. Depending on what field trips and assemblies look like next year, that could be a way that we possibly save some money next year. I think we're pretty much convinced that the Fall Family Festival is not going to happen. But given social distancing, it's possible that some version of the Jogathon may be able to happen at the end of the spring. We're also looking into other ways to run just community events or other types of fundraisers, using our extensive, huge playground. And if everybody, stands out like this, we might be able to get social distancing done correctly as well. So we're definitely looking into that, and we would love any tips or ideas or anything that you have to send our way. We would love to have any and all ideas. So so the short answer is we don't know, and we will keep you posted as we figure it out. Thank you, guys.
La otra recomendación que se dio ahorita es que acerca de que si quieren comprar tarjetas, certificados de diferentes tiendas, pueden comprarlas con un programa que tiene HAC que se llama Scripts. Entonces pueden agarrar tarjetas con ellos, comprar tarjetas con ellos, y ellas agarran un porcentaje, o el equipo agarra un porcentaje también de la venta de esas tarjetas. Pero también están solicitando ideas diferentes de recaudaciones de fondos. Dicen que no se saben exactamente cuáles van a ser los gastos del próximo año, pero sabemos que aún van a necesitar recaudando fondos. Entonces, que manden sus ideas.
Thank you. Further looking at the chat, there's questions about box tops, which yes, are pretty much, you have to do it electronically now. We're not collecting the physical box tops anymore, but there is a way you can scan your receipts. I know I learned about that a little bit, I think at one of our first Home and School Club meetings, about how to do that. Angela is full of good ideas. Maybe we can do a special order tamales. That's a possibility too. And everyone loves that. That is how our ELAC helps support us as well.
If I could, sorry, Kristen.
No,
I was just going to also say, we are looking in the fall to continue with our giving drive, which is, a no contact way to fundraise, where the parents can just donate what they feel comfortable donating. And as well, and I know Emily Winters can speak more to this, but Charleston Wrap is also a fundraiser that we're moving forward with that has a lot of opportunities for just online ordering and online delivering. So the product doesn't have to come to the school and be touched by anybody else. You can just ship it right to your house. So those are also two fundraisers that you'll see in the fall that we've done before, but just again, another way to support our families.
Thank you, Jenny.
Se mencionó otra cosa, que al principio del año aún van a estar haciendo la donación del giving giving drive, donde ustedes pueden donar cualquier cantidad que gusten o puedan a HAC. Y también las envolturas de Charleston, el papel que pueden comprar. Esas órdenes pueden ser metidas por internet y se los envían las cosas directamente a su casa. Y la directora mencionó algo que tal vez si alguien, la mamá que nos puede ayudar a hacer los tamales, tal vez podemos hacer tamales y llevarlos a su casa, no sé, ¿verdad?
That looks like we've gone through in our entire chat. I want to once again thank all of you for still 36 participants here. Everyone is still here. I would like to share one thing that has nothing to do with the questions, but something that I'd like you to know about our staff here at Castlemont. We had one teacher who was here in 5th grade who has connections with the Lions Club. And she was able, between 2 different chapters, to solicit a $1,000 donation directly to buying script for our families in need through Safeway. And our staff added another $2,100 something, I think, Mrs. BG, on top of that, just out of our own pockets, donating to the script so that we could buy Safeway gift certificates for our families in need. Because while it's wonderful, and we have the most amazing community liaison who is herself going to Hope Church and bagging groceries every week for our families, delivering them and doing it here at school, there's still things that families need. If you think about your sundry items that aren't necessarily going to be in a bag, and you need your shampoos and your personal items. So we actually, and we monitor that and make decisions about who gets it, and we still actually have money left over, than that we'll be able to assist more families in the fall as we come back. But I'm really, really proud of the generosity of this community. I just wanted to share that with you.
And then also, we want to just recognize every single one of you parents that are at home. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts in the support that you have given us and your children during this time. It's our job to have them. It's our job to educate them. It's our job to prepare them for the grade level ahead. But now we included you in that process, unwillingly and unsurprisingly to you. But we do want to thank you, because without you, right, those gaps in learning would be a lot bigger than they're going to be. That we're prepared for what we are preparing for what's to come. But we also could not have done this without your support, without you constantly reaching out to the teachers. How do I do that? Where's that? And then also to our teachers. I mean, they rolled up their sleeves and just went for it. You know, a lot of them were hesitant to, like, I've never used this app before. I don't know how to record myself. And I mean, the amount of collaboration and teacher support that this required to get us through and pull us through was just unbelievable. I am so proud to be serving you guys all as parents, to serving the needs of our kids, and to be with such amazing staff that is here willing to work with each other. And also, just quickly, I want to be able to give you guys to pull to get you guys to connect with each other. I mean, if you guys can put some fingers up. One, I really struggled throughout this process as a parent. Two, it was a little difficult, but I got it. And 3, it's like, I'm an expert. I can go teach at Castlemont next year. So if you can quickly put up 1, I really struggled. 3, I can go teach at Castlemont next year. Where are you at?
And leave them up for a moment, because I have to scroll through the photos. I like how some of the people who are giving 1, it is like, this is a solid 1.
Awesome. So thank you.
Yeah.
I know, and I know we have some Spanish speaking parents, so I'm going to say, you know, what I just said in Spanish to allow them the opportunity to listen. Pero les queríamos decir y darles las gracias a todos ustedes por apoyarnos durante este tiempo difícil. Algo que mencioné es que no podríamos hacer el trabajo que hicimos sin su apoyo. Es nuestro trabajo educar a los estudiantes, es nuestro trabajo prepararlos para el próximo año y darles lo académico, pero este año, sin que ustedes lo desearan, les pedimos su ayuda. y en realidad les agradecemos todo el apoyo porque sabemos que va a haber lapsos en aprendizaje, pero no tan grandes porque supimos que tuvimos mucho de su apoyo. Entonces, muchas gracias por todo el trabajo y gracias a los maestros que también no esperaron esto, pero nunca dijeron no. No vamos a continuar. Se levantaron las mangas y trabajaron y colaboraron para sacar a nuestros estudiantes y a nuestras familias adelante. Entonces, estoy muy orgullosa de estar aquí en Castlemont sirviéndolos a todos ustedes y trabajar con un gran equipo de maestros. Okay?
Thank you, everybody. We can't thank you enough for being here. It is now, our air conditioner turns itself off. So if you're wondering why I've slowly been taking off all the layers, because it's now 95 degrees in here and I'm trying to look like it's not bothering me. I want to tell you that I brag about you all the time. So does Ms. Gonzalez, about my teachers, about our teachers, about our parents, and about our kids. And I'll tell you what, and I'm not sorry about it, other schools are envious of us because of our community and the way you communicate with each other and with us. So thank you all. To you.
Okay, gracias. Buenas noches. Thank you. Good night.
Take care.